Welcome back to Midpoint. Republican candidate for Colorado, Lieutenant Governor Jill Repella. Jill, let's get back now a little bit to Colorado and what's happening there. Between Bob Beaupre and John Hickenlooper, there was a rather spirited debate not long ago with regard to marijuana. Of course, you now have recreational marijuana in the state of Colorado, and as I understand, gubernatorial candidate Beaupre would like to repeal that law. Is that really going to happen, especially considering so much tax money walking into Colorado? There are those people saying that certainly it's a moral issue, but it's tough to look down that money.
Repealing the law will be up to the citizens of Colorado. Bob Beaupre and I respect the laws that are in place, and based on the laws that are in place, it would be our goal, as long as the recreational legalization of marijuana is a law, it's our goal to make sure that our communities are safe, that children are protected from it, and those who choose to use recreational marijuana do so responsibly. And that our law enforcement has the means necessary to ensure public safety. That will be our goals, is to implement the law that the citizens put in place in a very responsible way.
Is enough being done, though, to keep it away from the young kids? Because there still are a lot of stories out there that once marijuana becomes recreational, and again, we're not going to get too deep into a lot of the discourse here because it could go on for years, actually, but that it still puts it near kids, and there's still a problem with protecting it from getting into the hands of the 8, 9, 10-year-olds of the country.
Well, this is where Bob and I want to engage in dialogue with school districts, with parents, with law enforcement, to really understand what the facts and the data show us, and then tackle and put together programs and education pieces and get those things in place to try to combat that. Honestly, it's not a lot different than kids, alcohol getting in the hands of kids, or prescription drugs or illegal drugs. It all falls in the same category, and it is a responsibility for public safety that we understand the trends, we understand the facts of what's going on, and we give those who are involved in that the resources necessary to ensure that we're making progress in ensuring public safety, especially with our kids.
You mentioned a lot about alcohol in there, certainly, and that's part of the argument here. Is this really, in your opinion, then, an idea whose time has come in many states across America, that no matter what happens, no matter what the various issues are with it, that sooner or later, medicinal or at least recreational marijuana is going to be pretty much in use around the country?
You kind of see the trend. It seems to be going in that direction. As much as I'm not real happy about it as a mother, the trend is moving in that direction. It will be interesting to see if any of the data and the health issues surface that would cause the public to then pull back on the desire to have this legalized. But at this point, more and more states at one level or another are legalizing it. So we just need to deal with it responsibly based on what the law currently is.
I want to get down a little bit to some of the campaigning that's been going on here, because from what we have seen from our chair, it has been a rather, it's been an interesting run towards the midterms rather, and it has been an awful, nasty campaign in a lot of different states. In Colorado, though, it would seem that it's fairly civil, or are we perhaps reading it a little bit wrong?
It feels relatively civil. I mean, what we want to do is to highlight the differences and the contrast between the candidates, and there are some significant ones.
What about, okay, well then let's get to that. What are the significant issues then?
I think one of the significant issues with the Beaupre camp is that we want to really tackle the regulations in the state that are hindering our economic progress. We have a lot of federal regulations that are reaching down into our communities that are hindering our ability to grow our economies. That's something that Bob and I both agree on. We want to get government out of the way so businesses can expand and so jobs can be created. When jobs are created, citizens flourish and they're able to pursue their quality of life. Everything falls into place when people have a good job.
Joe, what's your take then on what has been a little bit of the dirtiness that has gone on here? And certainly the Democratic Party has taken an awful lot of heat recently for, and we go back again to Ebola, the fact that they have blamed Republicans for cutting a lot of the budget from the CDC. And there have even those who have come out and said that the breakout of Ebola here in America is the Republicans' fault. There are those who say that that's fairly despicable. Would you agree with that?
I do think it's despicable, because when you look at any agency, you look at what the priorities are within the agency, whether there are budget cuts or not. When you look at the facts with the CDC, 1/3 of the dollars going into the CDC while protecting Americans from infectious disease, only 1/3 of the dollars went toward infectious disease. Over 2/3 of those dollars went toward, say, community wellness programs. Now, while it's nice to build bike lanes and it's nice to encourage people to go to farmers markets and live a healthy lifestyle, the core purpose of the CDC, Center for Disease Control, should focus on infectious diseases. But that piece of the budget continues to get diminished and becomes lower and lower priority. And that happened under the Obama administration.
I only got about 10, 15 seconds left. Do you think Republicans, or rather I should say, do you think Democrats are indeed running scared at this point, and maybe they should be?
I think we see an awful lot of mistakes being made. You see it on the news almost every single day, and a lot of excuses and a lot of apologies. We need to focus on the core of what the responsibility of the government is, and that's the safety, health, and welfare of the public. And we need to start focusing on that as our #1 priority.
Jill Repella, the Republican candidate for Colorado Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck. We'll talk again.
Thank you so much.
Later on this hour, how to waste American taxpayer dollars in a black hole called Afghanistan.